Hey guys and gals, I hope everyone's having a great Sunday afternoon. It is I'm talking about a smoking Sunday afternoon here in southern Oklahoma. 106 degrees. That's right, it's actually cooled off here a little bit, just the last little bit. It's down to 102. Made it to 106, cooled off just a little bit. We got a little cloud cover, some clouds kind of drifted in. I don't think those clouds have anything in the world to do with moisture or rain, but at least they covered up the sun a little bit, knocks the temperature down a little bit. It's August. It's supposed to be hot. And we have got about the next, I'm looking at the 15-day forecast, and we've got a day or two in there under 100 degrees, but not many. Just about every one of them over 100. We have 104, 105, 106 forecast for the next 2 or 3 days this week, so it's going to be blazing. I hope it's a little bit better wherever you live. I know a lot of y'all that live up in the north are having 70 and 80 degree days right now. Some 90 degree days, you're complaining about them. And you probably got it right too, because you don't have many 90 degree days up there. But keep in mind, when you turn to August, you're getting that much closer to the fall. And we're going to have a beautiful fall this fall, I believe. We're going to have some nice weather come in here. Usually in Oklahoma, once we get about September 15, things start getting a lot better. And I think that it will. Had a great week this week. The main thing that happened this week was traveling down to Houston, Texas. That's right. I got up way before daylight Friday morning and left in the dark and headed down to Houston, Texas. Got down there about noon. It's about a 400-mile drive down there. Got down there about noon and put my Ranger 521R Rotella boat in the big George Brown Convention Center in downtown Houston, right there by the Minute Maid Park, right beside Minute Maid Park, as a matter of fact. And my Ram truck, my Expressway Ram truck, in there, and spent about the next 2 or 3 hours cleaning them up, getting them polished up, shined up, and just looking really, really good. I'm telling you, there's a lot of work to really get a bass boat in a truck really looking nice, to have it set in a convention center and have thousands of people see it in a day's time. But we did, and we were there for the Mayor's Back to School Fest. That's right, a Back to School Fest. And it's an event sponsored by Shell, great company that I've been representing for many, many years. And they're a company that creates a tremendous amount of energy. You know, I mainly represent Shell Rotella, which is their diesel oil. And Shell sells about 70% of all the diesel oil sold here in the United States. But I've done a lot of work for their Quaker Straight brand, done some work for their Pennzoil brand. Shell also owns Jiffy Lube. I want to get great Shell oils in your cars or trucks. Well, Jiffy Lube's the place to do that. And, of course, great Shell gasoline. You know, we've been burning Shell gasoline for as long as I can remember, way before I ever got involved with Shell. But such a great company to work with. And one of the great things that I like about working with Shell is they just do much for folks. And they do so much for conservation. They do so much to help the environment, you know. We drill oil, we drill for oil, and we make gas and oils more efficiently and cleaner than any place in the world right here in America. And Shell is one of the most responsible, if not the most responsible, oil company out there in doing that. And in addition to that, they do so much that really helps the community. And this event that I was at this weekend is the Back to School event. Shell provided 25,000 backpacks. That's right, we had over 25,000 kids come through that convention center yesterday. And they had some sort of a system where they all didn't come in there at once. It would have been really wild if it was all there at once. But they started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we went up until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock till 2 o'clock. I was going to say I didn't get out there until about after 3 time. I got my boat covered and I got everything put back that we had all set up for that. But here's what I did. I've always wanted to have a Guinness Book of World Records. Well, I set one yesterday, but I don't know what the record is. So I guess I still don't have a Guinness Book of World Records. I guess I'm still not in the book. I really don't care about it in the book. I was just joking about that part. But I've never ever put any of my deer in the Pope and Young or the Boone and Crockett book. None of my turkeys either. And the only time I score a big deer or score a turkey occasionally just to share it with my buddies, you know, just to brag a little bit with my pals that I run around with all the time. But I never attempted to set a Guinness Book of World Records. But I'm telling you, without a doubt, I set the record for the most kids in a Ranger bass boat in a day. in 6 hours. I had literally thousands and thousands of kids in my Ranger bass boat. And some of my Shell friends down there that worked for Shell that was putting that event on, Karen come over and said, Jimmy, we can keep those kids out of your boat. And I said, I'm inviting them in my boat. I'm letting them get in my boat. I found over the years, it was my own kids were the exact same way, my own grandkids, the great grandkids, the exact same way, to get in a bass boat, sit behind that wheel, even when they're 2, 3, 4 years old, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 years old. 80 years old. Sitting behind that wheel in a Ranger bass boat is a thrill. It's something that God just instilled in men and women and kids that they really like. And I can remember we'd let our grandkids and our own kids sit in the bass boat, and then we'd try to take them out, and they'd start crying, holding on to the steering wheel, and wondering to get out. So we let literally thousands of kids get in our brand new Ranger bass boat. And I had the power turned off. They could push buttons and turn knobs and do everything they wanted. It really wasn't hurting anything. I did get a couple little items broke, but it wasn't anything that can't be repaired. But it was so cool. And I also set up one of my Jimmy Houston camouflage rod and reels, or spinning reels that sell for like $39 or $49. And I set it up there with a spinner bait. I hit my hook down on a Lucky Strike Red Man spinner bait. And a lot of those kids had never been in a bass boat. Most all of them had never been in a bass boat. A lot of them had never thrown a rod and reel, and I taught several of them how to throw a rod and reel, but mostly I just let them wind it in. And it was so cool to watch their parents videoing them winding that in. They'd be up in the boat, and I'd cast out there on a concrete floor, just cast way out across the floor, real long cast, hand them the rod and reel, and show them exactly where to hold that spinning rod correctly up around the reel, not making the back of the rod like most of them want to grab it, and take it and then start winding. And then some of them getting a big pose there, and they'd be up there, you know, and tongue would be sticking out. They'd be concentrating so much. And some of them would stay up there and cast 20 or 30 times. Some of them would just get in line, because they just were forming a line. We didn't tell them to form a line. They just formed a line right there in the front of my bass boat, right up on the deck. And there was many fish caught, probably of all species, in the front of my Ranger bass boat in the minds of those school kids. And there were school kids up there that were, you know, I think this was I don't see too many school kids up there. It was probably junior high or high school age kids. So it was mostly, I think, grade school kids. I'm not real sure, but it was a lot of little kids, a lot of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And a lot of the parents, a few of the parents got up in the bass boat too, because a lot of them never been in a bass boat, so they wanted to do it. But it was an incredible event. We had literally thousands of kids get in my Ranger bass boat. Pictures by the thousands, videos by the thousands, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I just want to pat Shell on the back, give them a big round of applause for being the main sponsor in that event. There were other people there doing various things and getting health checks and all kinds of things going on in that George Brown Convention Center. And we moved through about 25,000 kids yesterday, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Shell had a lot of volunteers, probably maybe as many as 100 volunteers out there helping. The kids got all kinds of stuff in their backpacks, all kinds of stuff they'd be using in school. I think school starts in about another week or so down there in Houston, Texas. Starts about in a week about here, about everywhere. I think it starts pretty quick. So we're all ready to back to school. But it was an incredible event. I heard about one going on in Dallas also, so they must do these all over the country. But again, you know, big round of applause for Shell Oil Company for being involved in that. It cost them an awful lot of money. I don't know what 25,000 backpacks cost, but you add 25,000 times any amount on the other end of it, it's going to be an awful lot of money. So Shell, it did a great thing out there. Shell is based in Houston, Texas. That is their home office here in America, and they just do a fantastic job. And all of those volunteers, I visited with so many great Shell people down there yesterday. Karen was running that particular situation down there, and then Debbie from the mayor's office, and it was just, Karen's a good kind. I promise you, she's it all. She just did a magnificent job. Was there, all those people were there at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning, and we didn't get out of there until 3, 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and then it's just absolutely great. So thank you, Shell, for allowing me to be a part of that. Karen asked me, she said, is there any possibility we can get you back this next year? You were the star of the show. You were the hit of the show. And there's just something special about a bass boat, even if it's not in the water, even if it's not in the lake. So I want to thank Shell for allowing me to be a part of that. I had a ball with all those kids. I made probably 1,000 casts yesterday. I never caught a fish, but I'm telling you, in those kids' minds, there was hundreds of fish caught yesterday. Probably a few whales even, and some sharks, and obviously some world record bass. So it was absolutely fantastic. I've got an appearance coming up this week. I'll be at the big Ace Hardware show that is in Chicago. And that is a show that I think it's probably a manager show or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's a private show. It's not a show that's open to the public. I think the next public event I'll be at will be at the Outdoor Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame over at the Wow Museum in Springfield. That will be not next coming Saturday, but the following Saturday night. Don't know exactly what that date would be. I guess it would be maybe the 17th. Would that be about right? Anyway, it's on a Saturday night there at the Wonders of Wildlife Museum. And Chris and I will both be there. There'll be a lot of the outdoor legends there at that event. We are inducting 4 or 5 new people into that Outdoor Legends event, and so we'll be over there that's on a Saturday. I think it's 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock. You can buy tickets and participate in that and see many, many, many great outdoor legends. And I don't know who all will be there this year, but I know a lot of time my buddy Hank Parker is there. Bill Dance is there a lot. There'll be a lot of I think that Knight and Harold Knight will be there, and I think that and David Hale. I think that there's several people. I don't remember who all, but that will probably be there. Some of them, not all the great outdoor legends will be there, but a lot of them will. And it's going to be a great deal there. I think it's 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock on that event right there. We'll try to get a little information and stick it up on our Facebook page or something about that event, because it is open to the public on Saturday. On Saturday, I think from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock is what I've got written down in my calendar. But I will be in Chicago. I'll be flying up to Chicago and be there. That event is this coming Thursday, and I'll be there at the Ace Hardware show, and that's I think it's probably a manager show, or it's a company show of some sort, and I think probably a big manager, because they've got to have thousands of managers. There's thousands of Ace Hardware stores, but it's a big show, and I'll be there in the Shell booth. I'll be there representing Shell Rotella. And so I'll be there probably from around noon until closing time on that Thursday. So if you are involved in that show, if you're involved in that show, and that show is not open to the public, but if you're involved in that show, be sure and come by the Shell booth and visit with me if you care anything about hunting or fishing or the outdoors. And I'll be there probably from about noon or so until maybe 1 o'clock until the show closes, I'm sure, that evening. So that's what we got planned this next week. It's just and we got an appearance or two just about every single week for the rest of the fall. We're waiting for some of this weather to cool off. We get back to fishing. Speaking of fishing, I tell you what, right now in this 100-degree weather, you're going to have to go at daylight or before daylight and fish until it starts getting uncomfortable out there, and then go take you a nap in the middle of the day or eat you some Bluebell ice cream or something. But and then go back out late in the evening. But this time of the year is when we have a lot of schooling bass action all over the country. I've noticed that on some of the social media channels, a lot of schooling action showing up on the videos. So there's a lot of fish schooling in a lot of places. White bass are schooling. Schooling is what we're talking about. We're talking about this back to school event. Schooling is when fish come up and are chasing shad and hitting up on top of the water. And you see them splashing up, and sometimes there might be 100 or 200 fish there, and there's just big old splashes all around, and they're chasing these shad, and you have to move around with them and be looking and run right over to them and catch 1 or 2 real quick. But sometimes there's acres and acres and acres. We've got a great lake for that, not too far from the ranch here, Lake Texoma. Those are stripers that's doing that down there. White bass, sand bass do it in a lot of places. Also largemouth bass and Kentucky bass over at Table Rock Lake, a really clear lake. They have a lot of schooling activity over there with the Kentucky bass, the spotted bass. They also have largemouth bass that will be mixed in them schools, and white bass. So there's a lot of schooling activity going all over the South. The very best time is right at daylight in the morning and then at dark. So the daylight time sometimes doesn't last very long, but you can get out there the last couple, 2 or 3 hours before dark. Usually it calms down this time of the year. It's really, really calm, and you can see those fish a long way off. You need to watch for the birds. Most of those lakes have seagulls around them, and those seagulls, when you watch for them, you see them circling around or diving down in the water. Even if you can't see any activity, it may be, over there several hundred yards or a quarter mile away. Well, you see those birds. In fact, a lot of the fishermen, the guides, take binoculars out there, and they're watching for the birds. When they see birds way out there, they drive over where they are, and that's where those fish will be schooling. Schooling activity is great. A bait like Lucky Strike's All-American Rattler works in there real good, little small spinner baits. If you're fishing for bass, like at Table Rock Lake, where those spotted bass are, and a lot of lakes in the South, the spotted bass are schooling right now. Lake Lanier's one that they school in as well, early in the morning, late in the evening. But this is the time of the year to do it. And this is some really dynamite fish. You can catch a lot of fish. You can catch some really big fish. But you can take, for those bass out there, you can throw a lot of baits out there. A topwater bait works really, really good when they're schooling. sometimes at Texoma, you could get 8, 9, 10, 15-pound stripers schooling up on top of the water. And that's really a bass. They're knocking water way up in the air, and it's just really super. So if you, in your area, if you have fish that school up on top of the water, this is the time of the year to get out there and get them. So go chase those schooling bass, and I promise you, you're gonna have some good success. Those of you that are going to that Ace Hardware show, there might be some of you know that there'll be thousands and thousands of people at that show, because that's a great big chain of hardware stores, really good hardware stores as a matter of fact. And we'll be there working in the Shell Rotella booth, or the Shell booth, this coming Thursday, I think that's the 8th, from about 1 o'clock until the show closes, I'm sure, that evening. So if you're at that show, be sure and come by and say hi and let us know where you live. Show us a fish picture too. We'd just be happy to visit with you, and looking forward to getting up there and visiting with all the people there at Ace Hardware. I'm just like any guy. I like tools and lumber and hardware, and I like, I'm really in love with fishing and hunting gear, but all the other stuff that goes along, I love all that too. So have you a great week out there. Watch this weather, this hot weather. One of the bad problems I have in this hot weather is I get out there and fish all through the day, and I don't drink much. Make sure you keep yourself hydrated. Drink a lot of water. Drink a lot while you're out there. The best thing for fishing this time of the year: go early, come in, take a good nap in the middle of the day, and go back late and stay until plumb dark. So early in the morning, late in the evening. We got long days. It doesn't get dark until 9 o'clock or so here in southern Oklahoma. So you can go out at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening and still have a lot of great fishing, the very best fishing for the entire day. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one. And remember, I sure do love you.